it actually makes sense that, you know, at some point people are going to verbalize bitch, because what have we been, you know, treated like for the last 400 years? You know what I mean? Like, let's just keep it real. So when our children say bitch, people are like, they said bitch, but we're going to talk about slavery. We're going to talk about how, you know, women are treated like, you know, our African women have been treated in America. Like,
it's the context. It's like completely removed.
Yeah.
It's the same stuff. Like that loop, that whole cycle. I mean, 30 years ago, our parents maybe were in similar spaces talking about how that pop music just doesn't have that same feel, or people feeling betrayed by Tina Turner because she took a rock and roll space. Like, it's just always going to be that reluctance because it's new and it's different, and there's like this subconscious, and I think it's a very American kind of thing in this globalized society. We're all so American, it's ridiculous. So we're like intimidated by like youth and newness because it's been somehow in some weird alternate universe making less space for us. And so like when I hear, like, I just remember like begging my mom to get tickets to the No Way Out tour. It was like P. Diddy and the whole band. She was like, I don't get it. Your sister, like those Salt and Pepper girls, they played it safe. But then thinking about being little and my mom being like, push it, you're bugging. Like, that's not where we're at in life. You know, I used to push it like in a regular mainstream commercial, and it's so soft compared to like, you
Isn't
know,
that crazy?
Yeah.
That guy tour?
Yeah,
it looks cute.
It's fucking nice, yo.
I think about Kanye West and how he switched it up, and he brought soul music with soul beats, and he remixed he brought that loop all the way back and remixed it, and then brought soul music through hip hop, and that's why he was so important for our generation, for our music, because he brought them soul beats back. And we were like, he switched the whole vibe of hip hop. You know, now he's off over there now. But he did switch it up. And the soul beats, that's what speaks to, you know, it speaks to our hearts. And I think that's why we really just, I really like respect Yeezy for that. Yeah. And there's a couple other producers too that are doing it now. Ghostface's new album has a lot of soul beats.
Oh yeah, I gotta check that out.
I mean, it's so beautiful. So beautiful. And that's soul music too.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
because Kanye had, I mean, even just the number, it's funny you say that, because the number of like people whose voices he had in our eardrums, you know, worldwide. Like, you're gonna hear Nina right now. Right. Can you? I mean, so just for, that's why I'm like, at the end, like you said, at the end of the day, respect Kanye, because it's like you had the world sit down at the feet of Nina. Yeah. Even if it was for a summer, I don't give it. Again. Right. Like, for him to have done that in our generation, to push through that kind of energy is like mind blowing, and it takes a lot of strength to be able to say like, this is needed. Even with all the cocky sort of, I'm the best rapper, with all of that, he still said no. Sit here. Hear Otis. He wasn't even thinking about Otis.
That's true.
And he's like, no, you need to hear Otis. And then you feel like, who's Otis? Otis, wow, who's that? Right. They named the song Otis.
Even though, named the track Otis.
Even Lawrence Unplugged. Lawrence Unplugged. He was like, oh, y'all need to hear this. Yeah. Revisit.
Right. Yeah. So the living and the ancestors.
That's Kanye is that type of bridge type of cat.
Yeah.
No, Kanye's very, like, just in terms of, I think he's very of this time, like of our time, you know, in terms of what he does. Like you hear it and you hear that excessiveness. To me, he just represents like the world as it is in a way of like this modern world where it's like, yes, he'll reach back, yes, but we're also living in this very narcissistic time. He's one of the most popular artists.
I am God.
I mean, he gets extreme.
Well, I don't know what you were talking about earlier. Talking about when you live in New York City, you gotta
be a warrior.
No, I feel him.
I mean, that's the thing, though. It's like you can on the one hand,
you really like to take it there to be able to take your whole generation, like, woo. And we going, you have to really believe, I am God. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I am the most important in the world. I am God. I'm leading you. Let's go. Yeah. You really gotta.
Yeah, but that's the difference, is that he's on I am God, and this, I mean, at least from what I read about D'Angelo's feeling about Black Messiah, is that we are God. And that's the difference. And that's, personally, I've been over here quiet, because I I have a hard time with Kanye. Like a
Yeah,
very
no,
difficult time.
I've not. Yeah.
And just like across the board. Yeah, I don't like the older stuff, college dropout,
Yeah.
late registration. I would listen that was more palpable to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and you saw this article that I think it was real. They said that 808s and Heartbreaks was the best album of all time.
Oh my God.
All time.
Oh, wow. They said, but Chris
It's
Rock
a lot.
just said,
Maybe it was the Onion. I don't know, but
Chris Rock just said that.
I mean, that album,
Chris
like,
Rock just said what?
That,
I don't think it's better than
Twisted
Thriller.
Fantasy was better than Thriller.
I never even listened to
But I
Twisted
think-
Fantasy. I don't even.
No, it's a dope album. It's a dope
even
album,
wanna-
though. And
I don't
it's
even want to
important.
hear
His
that album.
music is important.
But I think the thing
I
that I like.
kind of wonder.
But the thing,
No,
no, but the
I
thing,
feel
yo,
him.
the
Like,
thing
yeah, I
about
feel him.
Kanye
I
though
feel
is like the fact that like we can have this conversation about him, and that you can even put him on this type of like board where you are able to like see his thoughts versus like D'Angelo's, for instance. Like
Yeah.
just that he brings that out of you. That is very special, and it's like he is like more. I don't know. I feel like I used to really strongly for a while like hate Kanye West. Like it got to the point I was like, yo, fuck Kanye. Like what is he talking about? He's just talking all this shit. But then it's like you realize that like he is, like I keep saying, of these times, like all of the shit that I found out that I wasn't liking about Kanye is reflected in culture. It's like the excessiveness, the narcissism, the greed, the whatever, the constant, you know. But then it's like, but I have all those strong feelings, but then I can also root it in things and have a dialogue, like you said, like D'Angelo, we are God. Kanye West, he took it, but maybe he missed the mark in some of his trajectories or whatever. But like, I feel like there's something. I feel like you can look back and be like,
But look where he pulled hip hop though.
I'm kind of
Think
wondering.
about hip hop before Yeezy and where it was going with the Uchi Wale. Like really think about that shit,
But I'm wondering what happened to Kanye. He started as a conscious rapper, and he was like he did tracks for like Kweli. He like kind of
He
people
went
in the
on
industry.
tour.
I mean, I think
He went.
His mom.
his mom
Yeah.
died. His mom died in front of everybody. Like
Yep.
that's I don't know. I just feel like it's
with his mother passing, like your environment's changing. Once your circle changes,
Yeah.
he started
You
dealing with
know,
people he probably never dealt with
maybe
before,
and I don't.
that we don't even know.
Yeah, and the industry is
The industry's crazy,
is
you know?
horrible. You know, Jean Carn was signed to Motown for a while, and she won't even talk about her years there.
Wow.
Shit.
She was with Gamble and Huff.
Oh,
and,
wow.
like, they got taken down for payola.
Oh,
And, like,
wow.
There's some, a lot of people in the record industry is straight gangsters.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
It's
That's
just,
that
you know,
Americana.
yeah, and
Americana is the equivalent of gangster. Like,
and they probably got
True.
gangsta on. They might have got gangsta on Kanye. You know?
Yeah, you don't. I feel. I mean,
And I think too, as an artist, you know how vulnerable you are. And you literally putting your thoughts, your energy, your soul into your music, and then the world is out there judging you. And so you really have to be like, well, I gotta stay hip, I gotta stay relevant, I have to stay on top of the times, I have to get the baddest bitch, I gotta be the number one, because that's how he got, like that energy is how he got to where he was. And then he's like trying to find a way to still stay relevant and still have a reason to live. Because like I just heard his recent interview, and to me the brother doesn't, like, he has his daughter, yes, but he really doesn't have that same passion, the same like hunger that brought him to where he is, that gave him a reason for life.
right.
Why am I here?
Right.
What am I doing? Like, why am I alive? Why am I waking up? What do I need to do every day? Because he got everything that he needed.
Yeah.
Right.
Every single goal. You know, think about the shit that he survived. He lost his mother, the Taylor Swift
He grew up in Chicago.
joint,
Yeah.
the Bush joint. Like, he
Yeah.
overcame all of that. And then, like, what am I working towards?
Kanye West don't care about that.
But the thing is, like, also, it's like. But the thing I think that.
Say that out there.
I said Kanye West don't care about black people.
But the thing is, like,
you know what though?
Yeah.
Caring about black people is not profitable, really.
That's why we remember hostages.
But we talking about international, and that's what he got put on doing. Why wasn't it profitable for him, or why isn't it profitable for him to put on for the, the black the global black, you just said.
I feel like global black, just from when you meet, okay, as a black person in New York, we meet mad people from all over the world who they basically have what American media and those very fine-tuned outlets. Yeah, we have the internet, but people who live in like India and all that shit, they're watching whatever comes on television. So they're getting whatever images of blackness that is allowed to get filtered through them. So it's like, to make the whole point about Kanye West not caring about black people, when you get to a certain level in the industry, into this business, you do have flexibility. And you have a lot more flexibility than you put around. But if you're trying to get coins and make money, you have associations and affiliations with people who are in direct conflict with your existence and the existence of the people who acknowledge your music. So when you, as a black person, are like representing black people by accident because you're just walking down the street like, oh, I'm being black, and there's messaging that's not diverse, that's constantly coming out and being bombarded by other people, you as an individual don't have the same reach and power as someone as Kanye, who could be like, yeah, he might get the soundbite where he's all self-righteously talking about how they don't understand and whatever foolishness he's talking about, but he never takes the soundbite to say the real deal, which could be whatever, but it's never based on fact. It's always based on this like subconscious superstition of how there's these people, there's these puppeteers and all this other shit, but it's never like, this person is the reason why I couldn't make this album anymore.
Yeah.
This person said that soul music is not going to be popular to other people in the masses. Meanwhile, people in the global south or whatever, they'll take anything that they can get because they're getting that homogenized American culture.
But it's like, I don't know, but the other question is like...
You know what? Like, it was kind of... sorry to cut you off, but it was kind of traumatic for me last time I was in Nigeria and see everybody and their mama walking around with like a 50 Cent jersey or shirt. I'm like, damn, bro, this is their image of what it means to be
black.
A black American.
Yeah,
and that's just what they getting fed because their MTV is the same people who
Mm.
own our MTV, you know?
Yeah.
Viacom.
And I was in a bush in Nigeria, and this is the first time, like, we spent most of our time like in the major cities, so this is my first time on the continent was hitting Nigeria on this trip. And then I'm like, I'm finally finna go to, you know what I'm saying, to the bus. Yo, we stopped at the spot. This dude came out, he had White Jesus and Lil Wayne pasted on this on a little hut.
Oh my God!
White Jesus and Lil Wayne. That was like
That was alive.
White Jesus and Lil Wayne.
That hit me hard just now.
White Jesus and Lil
But kind of both of y'all's point, even yours too, right? Is that he does represent us in terms of our generation, a lot of American culture. So what we saw with him was him come out with that conscious piece, right? Because I'm from Chicago, so like I knew of Ye before college dropped, before the first album. Like I was tuned in. It was a completely different kind of vibe. So when I saw him get on, I'm like, yo, hip hop, it did change. It didn't go to the plateau that it could have gone, right? To the level and degree that it went, because he became so self-absorbed with himself. It went from, we doing this, but it was to a certain degree, it was rightfully so, because he had a particular chip on his shoulder. People be like, nah, you can't do it. Then he finally gets to the point where now he got J. Cole signed. He's like, I did it. And then so I think if this conversation went from, oh, they not letting me make this shoe at Nike or me, then I think his reach would have been a much broader reach. And if you listen to J. Cole's recent interview on Andrew Martinez, I think he has summed it up better than anybody in the game right now. Just really pulling a conversation out that has been kept and swept under the rug for a long time, especially with entertainment.
Yeah, and it seems to me like just being able to have a center, a spiritual center, and even that goes back to what we were saying earlier about some of the older artists with the, Christianity, and even if there were aspects of Christianity that may have confined them, not all aspects, but maybe parts that they were like, I love Jesus, but I need to like party a little bit, whatever they need to do, to balance it. But this generation where, again, fighting out of the box, it's okay, we're out of the box, we're free, we don't have to be this, we don't have to be that, but what are we? Having a center, and I feel like, just that whole idea of, number one, the masses sort of projecting on this Messiah idea of, to an artist. In other words, you got to save us. right? And then the artist feeling like, okay, I do want to save y'all, but then there's that like we talked about, narcissistic sort of like, because I'm saving you now, where's my, I saved you now, I want my piece, that kind of thing. There's this, exactly, collection plate. There's this whole sort of like vortex that really we shouldn't be in, as opposed to saying, okay, who's responsible? Like you talked about, what is our purpose? Who are we? Why are we here? Who do we go to for what we need? Is it you, man, human? Is it spirit? Who are we talking to about the things that we need? And then once we have a conversation with those energies, okay, utilizing the talents of this one or that one. Great, Kanye, you took us this far. Thank you, Ashe. Now let's move forward. As opposed to Kanye, keep carrying us. You're not God. Like, you really aren't. You do have the energy of, we all have spirit. We all have the God energy. But you can't carry all of us. That's impossible. You're not here for that. You are not Jesus. No. So let's go. We talked about, somebody said earlier, light a candle and get it popping. You know what I mean? In the proper way.
But I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
You hit on the point of just how we a lot of times expect the artists to save us. But like when you look back to like that soul era that we've been talking about, right? Like Muhammad Ali had the Nation of Islam to stand on, so he could be like, "Fuck that, I'm not going, I'm not going," and he could be on the nation. You know what I'm saying? And then even when you look at a lot of time from our generation, we talk about Jesse like, "Oh, Jesse ain't do nothing. Jesse just trying to get up there with the microphone." But Jesse put Shaka Khan on. Jesse would do events where he brought people to come like, "Yo, come on." And it's a people giving speeches, everybody up there singing. It's a completely different vibe and atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I feel like we hold our artists to a certain degree, but at the same time, like there has to be an organizational base and standpoint.
La Familia. Don't we always talk about that?
He turned the church into a movement. Basically, he brought the church out into public. You know what I'm saying? But the question is, why can't we do that internationally? Like, and that's what I want to talk about with D'Angelo. Like, is there a limitation to like Black American soul? You know what I mean?
No.
It's not.
I think the thing though,
That's
hell no. Is the globe is waiting for us to look outside of ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are really, when you look at it, Black folks in the States are the first globally Semitic people, right? Yeah. We got a piece and span the spectrum from everybody, every race and culture across the globe. But all we doing is we still steady up on America's nuts, like, oh, when you gonna feed us some girls?
Right. Well, that's exactly.
Nike won't let me do this. Disney won't let me do that.
But you see us breaking to a certain degree. Like Dwayne Wade was like, fuck Nike, fuck Adidas. I'm gonna get my shoe manufactured in China.
You know what I'm saying? The kids in America are checking for those sneakers also. They're like, actually, I'll take those Starberries. Never Christmas. So I feel I'm just being there, but there's just never the real conversation about how people don't want to step up and do the hard work behind influencing the masses for the greater good of the masses. What does, I can never say his name, Paulo Freire, the oppressed will always want to be the oppressor. So you'll have Kanye talking about, he sell crack, he sell Jordans, white men get paid off of that. Now Kanye wants to make Jordans. Like, and the Yeezys can be that. It's like, until there's that fundamental revolutionary attitude and that space for it to happen, it just doesn't happen in that way. So when we look at, just like from a community organizing perspective, there's always going to be a very small population of people who will influence a large population of people, and then on top of that small population of people, there's going to be that network of folks who will mobilize to make it look legitimate. So like Rainbow Coalition, that was a really ripe time because people were like really confused about crack and about AIDS, and they were huge question marks. Families were falling apart. Everybody was touched by it. Now we live in a space where it's like okay to like be apathetic. Like it's really okay to be like, well, fuck that. My mom was a crackhead. My dad was never in the picture. I don't fuck with none of my siblings. Fuck that. It's me and my team. We're getting money. And that's what the streets are talking about. That's what the suburbs are talking about. That's the general like that's the general sense of the youth. That's that like
Yeah, that is the
spiritual
sense.
depravity.
Yo, that's the American motto though. It's like fuck everybody else, I'm gonna get mine. And
Yeah.
it's just like filtered
It's a
down.
colonial aspect.
Yeah, exactly.
Consumerism is
Yeah.
the youth, you know.
Yeah.
So what? So
The kids are racist.
you were saying that we're talking about that off of the question of black music, and like, is it trapped in that? Is it trapped in Americana, or who are models for internationalizing and not depending on the American market?
Yeah, I think it's just the mainstream. Like,
Well, Kweli, like what Kweli is doing is he's selling his album. Kweli and Jean Grey, they sell their album directly. So they're not going through a third party, and you can just buy their albums directly from them. The problem is like you don't have that mass marketing, you don't have that huge budget, and
Kanye wouldn't want to step that far down.
I mean, and when you're
right, but the thing is that if you want to carry the masses, you have to have mass appeal. Like if you have a message, your message could be so beautiful, could be so like on point, and you just telling out this, but people might not understand it. And even if they kind of understand it, they don't want to listen to it all the time. Like they would rather just let's turn up and fuck our problems and let's just get drunk and have a party. So you have to have like the one person I could say that could actually do that or did that was Lauren. People were 6 years old and 86 years old, and we were all listening to the same thing, Miseducation. That same like she was universal, she was global, she was cross generational, she was every race, every creed was on that Lauren tip. So you gotta have mass appeal, crazy skill, and then be able to like possibly be a Gemini, you know. It's a matter of communication. Communicate effectively.
I think when you mainstream, you can't do exactly what you want. Because you got to think when people are putting so much, like millions of dollars into your career, they ain't gonna turn it over to you and just say, "Oh, what do you want to do?" No, they controlling these people.
Yeah, they have like this agenda.
If you refuse to be controlled, they're gonna try to push you out.
Yeah,
they're just gonna put so much pressure on you. It's like if you're not with their agenda, they're gonna make shit extra hard for you, like they did with Chappelle. Like
they'll push you.
When they see somebody like that, they can't let somebody like that really just like take a space and claim their space. They can be like, nah, we don't like it the way this is going. We got to do something about this.
But I just think that we shouldn't give the they that much power.
It's true.
I think we give they way too much power. Like we have the power.
But the same thing
with Kanye, like
they won't let me make my designs or whatever. Like Kanye,
do it yourself.
You have the power to do you the one that has this appeal, this drawing everybody attention. So how are you depending on they won't let me do my design? They won't let me into the fashion industry.
Russell Simmons wrote him an open letter saying, "Why the fuck do you care about European press?
Okay,
You
so
should walk down the street."
let's talk about TDE then. Like, because I feel like TDE is saying they recognize what's going on, but they seem to be playing their lane as a crew. So they still are Americana in a sense, like almost like Tupac. They in that Tupac mode.
Yeah.
Like, we're American. This is the society we're in, but we're gonna Africanize this space. But it's gonna be international.
But what I like about them is they hold each other accountable and they'll call each other out real quick, and I love that because it's still like on some La Familia shit. Like we're still gonna like build each other up. But I feel like if one of them went off and did some Yeezy shit, like some real crazy wearing a kilt, they'd be like, nah, nigga, let's sit the nigga down. Like, look, you're not doing that. Remember the plan. Like, they hold each other accountable, and I love that. They challenge each other, but they also, like, uplift and support, and that's what it's about, being real.
Yeah. And having, like, a center that isn't, because that's the thing, like, it's just interesting listening to our conversation and thinking about, like you mentioned about the they and the, because and myself, I can honestly say, and even just in my journey, writing, liberating, all of that, and I can even see the trajectory of my own thinking and pieces and where it's at that place, and even now with all the Ferguson and all that kind of stuff, and really realizing like what is the center, like even coming to a realization like we were created, like we're beings that were made. So it's bigger than America and enslavement and white people. No. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's clear that out. Like, it exists, but it is not who we are. You know what I mean? And being able to understand that and then have that center and then knowing, because even the music is coming out of what? Culture. So, like, what is the culture? What are we culturally attached to? And I think that's where that whole, like, you know, you mentioned about the, like, Americana thing is sort of being stuck. It's a brick wall. It's like, you know, where is it? Because we have to then say, we have to talk to ourselves, our ancestors. We have to. There's no way around it. And at the point in which we're not having those conversations, this is why it's sort of this, like, I'm sure if Kanye, and I'm not going to say if, I'm sure he does this, but the more he taps into the energy of his own mother, his own ancestors, and grounds himself there, all that about who wants and likes and doesn't want and who booked me and who doesn't support, it's null and void. You know what I mean? And this is something our ancestors did well. Because when you're in the face of enslavement, in the face of lynching, you have to know who you are without a doubt. You can't be like, because, and then maybe. No, you have to know, I'm not a slave. I am not a slave. You know what I mean? Period.
So,
you have to know it. And you can't, and it's not about...
you define yourself. It's
exactly. And it doesn't matter who is trying to enslave you. And you have to know it. You have to know it.
Because there were slaves that did say, I am a slave. And it, like, that's why after the Emancipation Proclamation, they were still on the plantations until Juneteenth because nobody came and told them that they were free.
Yep.
And then you have people like Nat Turner, you couldn't tell him he was a slave no matter what. Harriet Tubman, you couldn't tell her she was a slave no matter what. Like, so it's how you define yourself.
Absolutely.
And I think, like, now I feel like we need to look globally because we keep thinking of ourselves as minorities. Like I said, the system sold so many lies, so many took it for granted, but minorities are the majority. Just look at the planet. Yeah. Like, if we think of ourselves as minorities, they're going to keep being able to treat our lives as if they have minor importance. And they're going to be able to get away with the same shit. But we really do need to broaden our perspective.
I don't never say that. I correct people when they're like, I'm like, hold up. Check the planet, boo. Check the planet.
Brown people.
Hold up. Wait a second.
And then it just makes that international conversation less of an international conversation and more of a familiar. You know, it is that lot familiar. It literally is that, and it's so easy. It's less of a like, well, I need to go and build with some Africans. I am African.
Exactly.
So I don't have to go build with no African because I'm African. So when I meet people from Africa, as humans, we build, and that is it. You know what I mean? And it's just, it cuts through all of the like ideology and the thinking, and some of it is just very human essence stuff.
That reminds me too of Catherine Dunham. When Catherine Dunham, she studied a lot, you know, in Haiti. But then she was offered a chance to go to Senegal, and they were like, "Welcome home, sister." And she was able to choreograph and like really, she even put together one of the first Senegalese ballet companies. She was just like, "Right, I'm home. No question, no cut, nothing. I'm home." You know what I'm saying? They just embraced her, and it was just like, we're just gonna, and that's the beauty of dance too, because dance is universal language. So even if we're not even speaking the same language verbally, you know, through dance we can communicate, and music too. It's like universal.
I
agree.
You feel it on soul level.
It's not.
Like going to Brazil, like I feel like you proving that basically with everything you know we're talking about, but it's not necessarily hip hop. So we're talking about like Kanye and the different aspect of the hip hop industry. Like, what do you think limits the chances of that happening with hip hop? You know what I mean?
With hip hop now, well, the thing that
it's like Kanye and in Paris, you see what I'm saying? Hip hop has that different. Whereas you can take love and that's like, oh yeah, Brazil. You know, like Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? Like Bob Marley. Like you know, people like love is a little easier. Like when it's genreless, but when it's like hip hop is like a nationalist culture almost. You know what I mean? So like when it's such a declared culture, you know what I mean? Like what are the limitations or the chances? You know what I mean?
But the thing about that though is like, I don't know. You have to kind of look at hip hop through two different lenses at times because hip hop today has become this very commercialized way of how things like a culture. But it's commercial. It's like, it's basically like an appropriation of hip hop given to people. I don't know. It's just, if you look at things today, like when I look at like hip hop, for example, the thing that it comes to mind for me is the same issue that was faced, you know, with every black rooted music. It becomes appropriated and minstrelized for a culture or a population of people that for any other reasons wouldn't have anything to do with black culture.
Yeah.
You know, and hip hop has become very sophisticated now in that it's considered this like very, you know, American thing, and it's I don't know, I feel like it's not necessarily like it's not the same as what it was rooted in now.
Do you think,
so I think
I just, because you made me think about it, because hip hop is like so ubiquitous, do you think that things that are ubiquitous kind of lose whatever?
No, I don't think so. I think there's definitely still authenticity there, but what you have to realize is that it's been taken in a mainstream way and presented in a certain way where it's like, oh, we want to put this hip hop aesthetic on MTV and have it be whatever, and like, you know, there are people that have made a complete industry out of what it began as, you know. So it's like, I don't feel that just because that's happening that then there's no way for hip hop to have that same kind of reach or whatever. I don't necessarily know, you know, what would solve that, but I think the thing is there does need to be some type of dialogue.
Are there sound aspects to it, like
to hip hop
as a percussionist or whatever, like just to this difference that we talking about? Whereas, like, you know, maybe Tut takes his horn to Brooklyn and integrates into the instrumentalist scene. You know what I mean? Or you with your guitar, percussion. But like when you're a hip hop producer, you know, it seems like a different craft almost. You know what I mean?
I do think it's
the same thing. We're talking about this electronic, acoustic line. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think maybe they focus in hip hop a little more on, especially like with drums. You know, the sound of they're not actually focused on what's actually being played, but the sound of it, like how it's gonna sound. Like the 808s, you have a certain sound and like certain or I've been in hip hop sessions and seen some other producers work, and whereas I would spend a lot of times figuring out exactly what I want to play, like how am I gonna go about laying down this pattern or what chords do I want to play, they'll spend all their time layering like a bunch of bass drums or like tweaking the sounds, almost like an engineer would do for us. But we kind of I say we, people who come from more of an instrumental background, they're kind of thinking creatively as like what we're going to do with the instruments. I think in hip hop, hip hop producers are thinking a lot more about the sound, like sonically how it's going to be, and they'll spend a lot of time like sonically,
like designers, more so.
Sonically designing the sound, and I don't know. I think instrumentalists are more concerned about the creative aspect. Or I don't want to say creative because I guess, designing the sound is creative too. But just, musically, like what the instruments are doing, or like, playing the best chord, or like, the writing the best chord progression, or, laying a drum pattern is really creative. But, the hip hop producers are thinking more as, let me make something that bangs, can bang in the club, or
I don't know though. It's like, it's really tricky because it's like, I don't know. I feel like hip hop definitely there's a very cultural aspect of it, like it's rooted in its foundations, what it started as. But like I said, it's just so difficult to try to really pinpoint what can be done, or how can it move forward from where it's at, because again, it's like we're dealing with this very commercialized thing that is trying to trend and stay current now, and it's using, and if you look at it, because the thing that I noticed with hip hop is that for me it's rooted in like soul. Like if you look at the first samples that were used, the sounds or things like that, like while it was far-reaching and there was production aspects and things like that, it was still rooted in this black music. That's the foundation of it. And now it's become, if you look, you can just see how all of these things have become musical trends. So you have hip hop becoming this commercialized thing, then you have it sold or like presented to the world, and now you're starting to see, like you said, there are, you know, soul music has become a trend in a way where it's like, well, what can you do differently with the soul, or what can you take from it and do this, or how is, you know, how can you have this hip hop aesthetic in Sweden, or, you know, all of these different things now that we're dealing with. But I feel like if things are rooted in that, then to me hip hop is very universal in a way, and it definitely can have this, you know, same vibe of how, you know, I don't know. I mean, just thinking about like when I went to Brazil, for example, it was like, even when I recorded some stuff here, it had a certain vibe that to me felt more in line with like Soulquarians, very hip hop, very like stronger drums, you know, and everything like that. I think what just happened was like understanding that like you can come with your own culture, but you can also bring that and collab with other people and create stuff too. And I feel like, you know, I don't necessarily know what that means in terms of like where hip hop can go, but I feel like that is just natural, can be naturally done with any art in any way, you know? It's like if you're rooted in something and then you want to share that with people and have it open to collaboration, I don't think it's not going to diminish like what it is, you know, if that makes sense. But I feel like, again, with hip hop now, it's at this different stage where it's a mainstream music. It's like synonymous with pop almost nowadays, if you look at what's considered hip hop versus what I feel is hip, you know, like, so it's like, I don't necessarily know. I think a lot of it's pop. I mean, a lot of stuff is pop now. It's like, and I think there's been a confusion.
Yeah.
There's been
Macklemore too. Yeah.
There's been a confusion that's created where it's like,
called it out though.
Yeah.
He called them out.
But
that's.
Yeah, that happens with every genre though. Like,
yeah.
Look at
I knew that. Look at soul.
I knew that was going to happen with hip hop.
Truly, like when Eminem came out, I was like, this is the Elvis of hip hop.
But you have to understand that this stuff has been like, that's what I'm trying to say. This stuff has been going on. Like, this is not new.
Like 10 years.
If you look at
a black hip hop artist, they're gonna be like, how is it a black hip hop artist? Hip hop is white.
Yeah. I mean, internationally they're doing that though. Like I know, like even hearing people who, you know, in other, well, particularly some of the, you know, Asian countries and places where they think like some places though, like here they're artists doing it and think that it's like an authentically, you know, something that, oh, we've been doing it that whole time. So it's interesting, like when you mentioned that about that idea, because I think
like for like my generation, I was looking at like Lenny Kravitz doing rock and roll, and I'm like, how is it a black dude doing rock and roll? But that
rock is
like that question is so ignorant. Like this was
I mean,
black,
but that's
it always was.
Right.
I think it's
it
just
got to the point where like they took it over to that extent where you could actually ask a question like that.
And if you think about I'm sorry, but I was gonna say even with the whole thing of hip hop in the Bronx and like, you know, the Spanish speaking folks and the Jamaican folks. I mean, when it's inherently international. The irony of it is, it is absolutely international. That's just what it is. So it's kind of like even the idea that it isn't that is already a sort of like very short term, really quick amnesia. Like how did we in the last 30 years forget that Kool Herc and these people are Jamaican? Like how is this
that's the industry
that's
current
insane.
though. Like there's a that's like the whole thing is like there is this push, like when you like
you know what it is though, like I feel like we need a new genre because that happens with every genre. Like we create something and then it's about an expression of freedom when we create it, and then
but who created genres?
Yeah,
that's the other question you have to look at. It's like, first of all, black people back in the day weren't calling jazz. No. Like that was a creation, and it was so that it
becomes commercialized. And once it's commercialized, you need a label to sell it under.
And also
R&B.
You need a way to brand it. Yeah,
R&B before it was
like it loses its roots, and it's like we got to come up with something new. And then they find like, let's control this and commercialize this. It loses its roots, and it's like now we got to come up with something new.
Anything that's industry is just rooted so deeply in white supremacy that there's just no way to get around it. Even the framework for the myriad conversations that we have, like we're in a space of privilege because of education from institutions that are designed off of the root of white supremacy, and not to be on some like crazy ISIS paper shit.
Yeah,
but
this
real
sounds like
talk,
some crazy ISIS
you know,
ISIS paper. Keep going.
Yes. As you know, my brothers and sisters, if I can continue to talk about the community. I saying that it's like it's so hard to try to have those distinctions.
Yeah.
Always walking on that pathway, and it's like white supremacy fuck the world. Like it's not like it's just fucking black people or brown people all over the world. It's fucking white people too. And they don't understand that they're just creating things to buy, to sell, to stuff, to not feel. And like the real sense of like real indigenous community has nothing to do with commerce or with trade or with these things that we even think of or call identities. Like it's just so much more than that. And we're so far removed from it. We're far removed from the language. So like, you know, what Steph was saying is really important to think about how we're thinking about the cycles or how we're using these opportunities of expression. I think what is critical is that we have to remind people that you're not for sale. Like you were saying, you were like really struggling with, not struggling, I'm paraphrasing, but you were struggling with this idea of having to become a brand. Like 10 years ago, motherfuckers didn't even say brand. Like legitimately, the idea of marketing has permeated every single thing, that everything that we do is for sale. Like I changed my hair and I was like, well, I gotta get a filter, we gotta figure out what this Instagram representation is gonna look like. And then I had to sit down and I was like, wait, for what? Like I'm doing it for the gram? Like no, what am I doing?
I live for the gram.
Instagram is supposed to make us all, those of us who pay our, $400 over the course of 2 years to have the privilege of walking around with a phone and yada yada yada, right? It was supposed to, technology is a class issue, right? Because it's a cheap way to give everybody that empowered feeling of being like a creator in the participant in the market, or take advantage of your own local market, or what you do. So there's a whole dance that's like fine line. Even your local farmers market is dancing that fine line. You know what I'm saying? So like.
It's like that. It's the delicate balance between, what does James Baldwin say? You can play the game as long as you don't believe in it. But after a while, if your life becomes the game,
about the game.
That's what happened to you. That's exactly what happened to you.
That's what the industry does. It's a game, and you become so in that game, like you can't see anything. Like you're not seeing the big picture.
But just to bring it back to the gram note, I like the gram personally because it allows you as an artist to have your own voice.
I feel like we need to use these technologies to cut out the middleman.
And to also to create your own image for yourself. It's your own. So like, there's a lot of artists that I didn't really fuck with before, but then I was like, damn, there's like such a humanity to Diddy that I never saw. How proud he is of his 6 motherfucking kids. Like there's something so beautiful. Like even though I don't all the way fuck with Diddy, I fuck with him on that. He is a proud father, and he shares like knowledge and shit, and that's really him. Like it's really him. It's really his image. It's his voice. He's coming out. Nah, that's
I don't know. I mean, that's the whole thing with
he makes a lot of like it's him. Trust me. If he made a big ass mistake, he posted this photo. It was him. It was Cassie and Kim Kardashian and Serena Williams. He captioned Diddy, he captioned Cassie, he captioned Kim, didn't say shit about Serena. Yo, we went off. There was like at least 1,000 comments like, and then he went back and had to correct himself. But that was like really him, because if he was paying for someone to do that, they wouldn't have made that mistake. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I feel like a Japanese intern would be like,
what about
I mean,
why do you need to say that?
Because she was in the photo and he didn't mention her at all. And she's like the most important person. Like she's a world champion. Cassie ain't shit.
Yeah, Cassie.
Why she even?
He had to apologize to Cassie. She was so bad he had to apologize. He was like, this isn't what we represent.
Cassie, but it's a photo of all these people, right?
He had to
and all the
apologize.
people, you're not gonna
I was
mention
like, man.
Serena Williams. He acted like she wasn't even in there. Yo, we went off. Like, you should have read the comments. Like, people were like, get the fuck out of here, Diddy, you crazy. But then he went back and apologized. But
so you don't think that the Instagram, oh my God.
The Instagram. So the Instagram.
IG, do you think that Instagram still can perpetuate that idea of scarcity? Like, I gotta have my pictures. I gotta have my followers. I need to make sure that I'm still competing. I feel
But before that, we'll go there. But before that, just the fact that it allows everyone to be a photographer, and like hip hop was supposed to like allow you to go on tour, play a venue without having to hire a band and things like that. Like, let's talk about the class aspect.
But that's the industry part of it, right? That's
it's the
class.
Technology part of it too.
It
is, us being in America, being beneficiaries or outsider beneficiaries of that, post World War II boom in the economy.
Technology.
And technology becoming widely available, and us doing what we do.
Yeah. But a lot of the like, the MPC, I don't even think, the person who invented it really pictured, what you doing this with the MPC that I invent. I think he invented it for, people to, I don't know, like take be able to take any sound they want and make a, European classical composition. I don't think he ever saw people,
getting ratchet on it.
Yeah, taking drums and just taking samples and using a sample like it's like it's percussion. I don't think so. It's almost like taking something that wasn't meant to do that, or even
baking soda.
Yeah, or even like Kool Herc breaking a turntable so that it played the same break the whole time. So
and that's like you just said. You said it's like making something do what it's not.
Yeah, what it's not supposed to do. Yeah.
But that's what we always do. That.
I mean, you look at look at the guitar or something.
Yeah,
and what it was created to do versus like when black people or when any group of people played it and started bending notes. You was like, what the heck is that? What kind of note is that?
Or even with jazz,
he be playing with his teeth.
Yeah, you're like, how did they?
The first jazz artists, they thought they were playing trick horns because they were bending notes and everything.
Right.
Like, what the hell are they doing with these?
Or even food.
What the hell did they do with that?
They gave scraps.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. Let's cheat y'all on
That's our power though to create. That's that God energy.
Yeah.
And it is infinite. The infinite ability to create. It is. I mean, there is no end. That's what they can't
that's when Brian
get
said
with.
he started the question with, "Do you think something is limiting?" And we said no.
Yeah, we already knew
music
that.
don't go together.
Yeah.
Music is infinite possibilities.
But then a lot of times it gets co-opted, and it's like people don't realize where it came from.
Yeah, because we're not talking about the limit. We're not talking about like the physical limitations of the energy. We're talking about the limitations of the energy's interplay with the market. And like, are we progressing? Are we getting better? Does D'Angelo have a better chance of international appeal in the diaspora this time or not?
But I think he just.
But Voodoo was it?
I think it's both. Like when so hip hop in and of itself, right?
Say something real quick because he ain't said nothing all night.
No, I've said quite a bit. Talked about the food.
Oh God, he said quite a bit.
It's fine. No, what's up?
No, but I just think that's part of the market. The whole idea of, you're still thinking within the market.
Right.
Like, if there's an international appeal, am I going to get that reach? You're still thinking in that paradigm. And I guess the bigger question I think that I always, I'm always curious when it comes to art, no matter what art you do as a creative, do you see some sort of light at the end of the tunnel where you can exist or be sustainable outside the paradigm? Like,
it's challenging.
Do you think, as an artist, do you think about that, or is it just, you know what? Maybe if I get the right record deal, or maybe if I get, because I've had the conversations with white artists. There's a girl named Alex Johnson who she actually lives in Brooklyn, and she's had several record deals. And I was interviewing her a couple weeks ago in Philly, and she was like, I actually got an offer a couple of days ago. I turned it down. It was from a major label. And she's already done Sony. She's been on Warner. She even acted on some Disney show, and acted on Degrassi and all that. Did the opening song for Degrassi. And she, she's got, but that's very much a privilege. Her thing is like, well, it's got to be right. It's got to work for me. I stated what I wanted, my demands, and they said, "Oh, absolutely not. We're not going to do. We're not doing that for any artist." These days, like, all right, well, no. I'll just keep doing my tour then. As an independent artist. But and that's again, she's a white artist.
But yeah,
you know what I'm saying? She tours. Anywhere she wants to tour. She tours around the country. She's not making goo gobs of money, but I would say, if I was to use my basic logic, her royalties from the shit she did with Disney, her royalties with the Degrassi show. She has pretty large producers, large name producers. Same producer Paul McCartney she used for her latest album as an independent artist. But but these type of conversations, we may not be having as black independent artists.
No, you're definitely not having that.
So when she's like,
I'll tell you now, that's not an option. It's like, it's not. The thing that's interesting about that is that is just an example of how you can see how this industry works, based on, like you said, it's like a class or like a certain thing. And what I found, because right now I am completely independent. I released that project independently, and we are in a certain time where maybe you don't I've had the project got received well in random Australia or Japan, but that was based on this kind of snowball effect. But the issue that I see now is that there are certain thresholds, I guess, that are in place that purely deal with can I actually sustain this, And I think that is an issue that a lot of more minority artists have to deal with. It's we're not I don't have royalties coming in. I don't have
people of color.
That's what people of color have to deal with. But it's you have these situations where I don't know. And that's just I've looked at reading a lot of biographies of some artists that have come before, and that you have to ask yourself too, one, if you do ever get the chance to have any, label interest of that type, what are you going to do? You don't have the footing to, if these people are going to throw some money at you initially and you have no money, you want to keep making music and you want to do something, then what are you going to do? And those are the deals that more often than not are geared towards people of color, basically. But it's you don't have the means, you don't have the means to.
The leverage.
Because they're only gonna throw money at you if they feel like they can make more money off you. So
of course,
you have to have a way to see, how you can make more money off you and not have it even go to them.
Right.
But I understand, there's a level of investment as far as publicity they can give you. That you
that's the thing.
Get yourself off the jump.
I was gonna say even certain things just to get a video on say you want to get a video on MTV, you gotta go through their the promotion company that pitches the video to MTV. Then you gotta pay that promotion company maybe $100,000 just to pitch your video to MTV.
But those type of conversations, a lot of young people that aspire to be a sustainable artist, live off of whatever they're creating. Those type of conversations they're not exposed to. I think, and that's for me, that's the fallacy, behind the art. It's just, wait a minute. Well, we're telling these kids, you follow your passion, do whatever you want to do. But are we really putting them in a position where they can be exposed to the realities behind?
Really, the industry is if you put enough money behind somebody, you can make that person a star. Yeah, sure. Exactly.
Australia.
You put enough money behind. You can pay your way on the radio. You can pay your way on the music video channels. You can.
But
I feel that's
because Diddy. He can't. I'm sorry. Diddy has all the money. He has all the access to the resources, right? But he can't get that hit. You either popping or you're not. There's some people who just can't buy their way. What was that movie? It was gosh, it was with Shonuff, and remember it was like the woman wanted to be, it was like Apollonia was a singer, and the bad guy wanted, he was like rich and well connected, and he had this chick who was his woman who was like trying to be a pop star. Into the Dragon. Yeah. And remember it was like the second storyline. It was like the bad guy who, it was like two bad guys who hated Bruce Lee. Where it was like the white creepy guy who had like the chick who wanted to be a singer. Either way, I'm just saying that sometimes that still isn't enough. Like,
obviously, because Cassie ain't popped like she was supposed to.
Yeah. I know she's like got it. She's racially ambiguous. She's
oh, I'm not hating. Come on, she's black though. She's dry as fuck.
But I mean, you know, she at least had the opportunity.
She had all the resources.
Even to have that opportunity, you gotta have the money.
You dating Diddy and you not gonna pop? Come on,
well, she
yo.
popped to a certain extent.
Yeah, she did. She had a few hits. Yeah, got a hit or two.
J-Lo was that.
But it's funny that Jerry y'all brought her up because I dropped some footage off to the sis that used to work at BET, and she was saying that Cassie was one of the people, because you know we talking about how she finds music and how she doesn't want to go through finding through the internet, and she brought up well, so the internet has kind of helped propel people. She said, well, when you look at Cassie, people thought she blew up on the internet, but she said that the labels were behind her, pushing her before she even got to the internet in order to get her to pop. Right. So even so, it's like so they did throw the money at her. She got to a certain degree, but even when you look at people like that in the entertainment industry, regardless, people are commodities, right? Yeah. So Trinidad James, how much can we make over here on Def Jam? Boom, run him to the ground. Oh, he done. Go to Young Thug. Give him
slaves.
But Prince didn't get paid.
I want to say we kind of conversation. Like even when we look at you asking about hip hop being international, right? Hip hop has gone international because it was a direct expression against American imperialism, right? Yeah. So as you see American imperialism grow, right? You see those same forces playing in those new countries to create these things, which is why you see people overseas have a different kind of respect for hip hop. So like we gotta separate when we talk about hip hop and we talk about rap music, right? Because it's the two things are is vastly different, right? And to say that when will hip hop go international? Like when you look at somebody like Odyssey, this motherfucker tours year long, everywhere, but don't get no respect in the States. We put him on a second class citizenship when we talk about hip hop. That motherfucker is one of the top. Fuck Kanye.
Yeah.
He is the top motherfucking hip hop producer in the game. Yo.
Yes.
Period. Point blank.
From DC.
Diamond.
I don't know if top.
Yo,
Odyssey is nice. I will co-sign that. Odyssey is nice. Yeah. I'll co-sign that.
And he's somebody that's been international. You know what I'm saying? And that brand, he don't have that big pop that everybody.
Sustainable
that motherfucker, he would never be broke.
And you won't catch him selling a beat to some fugazi artist because he wants to get a 5 or 6 figure check. Like that's the integrity.
And he also
he's also a producer.
But he also uses Instagram, right? In terms of his movements, his travel.
Yeah. Sure does.
So and it's people that don't even necessarily fuck with his music, like his Instagram is all the
so good.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a different kind of relation with dude.
And then he's also international because he's Sudanese. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know what I mean?
So he's able to
he's
look
starting
outside.
from that.
He can look outside of the
think
States.
outside the box.
Artists like us, like cats born here, we don't do that, right? We think this American market is it. We don't even fucking go to Europe, right? But when you look at when we were in Nigeria, this motherfucker, it was Johnny Gill, Bill Bellamy, and no, seriously, like niggas from like the early '90s that had been played out here. They're like selling out stadiums in Nigeria.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So think
big in Japan, it's crazy. I'm like, Joe.
Yeah.
So to think that these that as an artist, like you can be like, yo, you know what? Bump, you big in Australia and just bump, go there. Like Amuna was in she was touring with Common. I think they hit France or something like that. And this chick came up to her like, yo, they're playing her on their music station out there. You know what I'm saying? But here, we're so limited to, what do we do in Houston? What do we do in New York? Are we begging these markets? America, when you look from a business standpoint, right? American business people don't even look to the U.S. no more.
Yeah.
Their whole thing is overseas. Like, how are we gonna maximize this overseas market? So the fact that we still here trying to maximize the American market when America ain't even the American market is back.
Yeah. Because America isn't real. You know what I mean? And that's the whole thing. It isn't a real thing. It's like a facade. It's not a, it's not real. So the challenge becomes, at the end of the day, everyone will be able to say, well, we're really Chinese or really Indian. And I think for us, because, of being descendants of, captive people, it's kind of like, well, and then the story and all the, things that we've been exposed to, the marketing that has told us our brand is American, black, whatever, Negro, when in fact it's like, that's not real. Yeah. So even just being able to start from the idea of like, that is not who you are. Yes, you live here. So yes, embrace the changes and the newness, but understand your ancestry goes back to the beginning of time. And that's what it is. So anybody trying to tell, again, it still comes down to knowing like who you are. Exactly. You have to know your essence as a creative being, like for real, outside of like your genre, whether you a hip hop artist or you play the flute, I don't give a shit. You have to know. You know what I'm saying? It's always going to be that way. And I think that's the thing that like, Caucasians, folks who in the States, they get that. They're like, yeah, we live here, but I'm Roman. I go back to, it's like, damn, for real? And then when I be Roman, but I've created the idea that I come from Greece and this is what it is. I have some ancient shit that's before this.
Right.
Best believe I'm grounded on some deep shit. And if we ain't gonna be grounded on some deep shit, we can forget it. It don't matter.
Right.
Yeah, you try to get in the game and play the game, you end up like Obama.
Exactly.
Well, we gonna change this. Damn, man, they got me fucked up.
Pac said he wanted to become a thug in order to reach the hearts of the thugs. He had to become a thug himself in order to reach
Who
the
said that?
people. Tupac.
He said he had to act like a thug?
He had to become a thug so he could talk to the thugs.
Think like him?
Yeah, I like watched some of them early Pac interviews and like, man, I don't think, the later Pac, that's who he really was.
If you buy into it too much, look where he ended up. He became so much of a thug that he was always talking about death. And he died. Like, it's the power. That's the power of self-definition. How you define yourself.
That were like on Pac
his
parents
being Black Panthers.
Yeah, they're still on.
And that's the
Even
thing.
when we look at the Panthers, you gotta realize like his mom was a Panther and his mama was a crackhead.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, and he grew up in Baltimore at the height of the crack epidemic. You know what I'm saying? And then he went to Oakland at the height of the crack epidemic. You know what I'm saying?
Which was our Panther Center.
Right.
On top of that.
And even when we look at Huey Newton in the last days of his life, just the way that whole cycle went. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think a lot of times we idolize the Panthers. Not to say that we shouldn't, and we should hold them in high regard, but we got to put everything in a full context. So just to say just because it's people who's Panthers, you can say so and so's parents was a preacher. You know what I'm saying?
And they be a
What about the multiple dimensions of music and that having something to do with its spread? You know what I'm saying? Like a music that can spread through multiple venues.
Too.
Great music, club music, dance hall, for example.
Word.
That line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, same.
Or even reggae. It's festival music almost. It's big event music. Jazz was kind of like that. Venue music,
Yeah.
Likewise.
Well, it's different. I mean,
definitely gonna get
I feel like it's also there's so many different like subtleties. Like if you look at reggae, for example, it's like, yeah, it can be dance hall, but then it's also like rock steady, which is really chill. I mean, I guess I talked about that a little earlier. Like certain things resonate to people on a human level. I mean, it's like I feel like that's why certain things pop in a certain ways because they tap into something that.
Like Bob Marley.
Yeah, it taps into something universal, right?
Yeah. You want to talk about Bob Marley? Like tapping into the source, that brother.
Yeah.
But then that's a dichotomy because he was like a notorious womanizer. Like
I wouldn't say.
Well, but okay.
Polygamous.
I love the Cosby Show.
What do we got? It's
That don't take away from the music.
And I think that's why we like get so like caught up in the idea of industry and shit like that. And it's like it's all entertainment. It's smoke and mirrors. So it's like you'll have people present themselves as conscious rappers like Mos Def, and Mos Def is like really an actor who wanted to be an actor. He didn't want to be a rapper, but he found a way to get out there, and he did it in a positive way. But on the converse, in his everyday life, where he has also power, it's like not the most savory reputation. So it's like we hold these people to this higher expectation when in actuality their life is really basic.
But they're human beings.
But that goes into what you were.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
But like that goes directly like. Yeah, I mean, then that's the way. Then you can't look. Then that's like because of that. Then you can't look at Bob Marley and be like, oh, like this is how he really was. I mean, because like if you're gonna just take his music, that doesn't necessarily.
Well, I can't take away the message from the music and the reach.
Yeah.
But I can't. This is me coming from a place of privilege where I can even dissect and be like, oh, I have access to Bob Marley's life. Like, it's more just about looking at it and being like, I guess I'm trying to be as pragmatic as possible in saying this, but I don't think that there's never a full answer. There's always that other side. Like, there's always that other side of the palm every single time. So, like, but I feel like, does that only exist? And I guess this is where the question comes in for me, where it's like, there's always another side to it. There's an answer to it. Is that only exists within like the framework of this like American lifestyle that we've inherited? Like,
I think it's
no.
I mean,
That's being a human.
Yeah, it's good. It's light and dark. It's like there are aspects of being human that.
But I think I don't know. Go ahead.
No.
You can't say it's all smoke and mirrors because the real aspect of it is just the ability to touch other human beings through the art that resonates with other human beings. And it might not be tangible, but it's real. So you can't say that it's all smoke and mirrors.
Just created that legacy. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at his children. That one person. Look at his children, the legacy that he created, that one man.
And even for him to be like a representation of like the Rastafarian ideology, regardless of, of course there are highs and lows to that, but just the idea that you can go anywhere in the world. Now that is international. And people are, just getting in like Rasta, and they're looking at you like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a way to have namaste with humans around the world. It is epic.
And that's
epic. And it's not just all him, but just the idea that, like, for him to be sort of the poster, like the branding of
the church, though. Like we talking about with Jesse, and that's where the question came from. Is like, where is that type of figure coming out of Black American music?
The question is,
like
where's
the church, right?
That's the real question. But the question is like, where's the church versus where it's like.
Selassie has a chapel. That's what I'm saying. Like, it made me think of that song, the Selassie has a chapel.
Yeah, but that was the other thing too that I was gonna say. Is that when we look at, we're not really looking at Marley because he sat with the elders. You know what I'm saying? So like, even when you hear his music, you hear songs, a lot of songs. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just him that he was tapping into. It's like, like you were saying, just in terms of that church or what's hidden, what's beyond. And it doesn't even have to be church from a religious organization. It could be like, we're gonna sit down, study this Metal Netter, and just put all this out here on the lit.
You talking about like, is Jay Electronica getting there then? Trying to take the NOI to that level?
Getting where?
Now
he's in Brooklyn. He's actually in Bed-Stuy.
What?
Just like the rest of the white.
He's back from England.
He said what?
Yeah, he's in Bed-Stuy.
He's symbolizing the devil out here. He's symbolizing the devil.
85ers and below.
It's
technically 85ers and below. So she's in there, right? So she counted the 85ers. I'm just saying.
So
we got 85ers and below.
No, but I mean, I think Jay Elect, and there was somebody else that I was listening to the other day. Oh, no. GZA. Now, GZA is a high priest, yo. When you listen to his music, ain't nobody in hip hop history spit science like GZA. Because he can give you the science, but he give you just like cold bars too. Like, dang, I was like, I think Jay Elect and Lauryn Hill are kind of like, Lauryn does it in the more like rooted everyday language kind of thing. Jay Elect is kind of, he'll take you to the start. Like he got this one joint to where he's pretty much talking about like how England gave birth to the U.S., but just the way in which he goes about like telling the whole story is like it's mad intricate. And he's even another person like a lot of times people that are tuned in and stuff. Like when you get them here on Earth, you be like, yo, what the hell is wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? Like, I came across him briefly not too long ago, and I was just like, oh, you still, like your mind is still out there. Like you can be here, and you might have a vice, or you know what I'm saying, tune into something, but that doesn't take away from him being that conduit.
I just got deja vu. Still happening.
I had it earlier.
Wow.
It's weird.
So can I ask a question about, because it feels like there's like this conversation about, also could be my interpretation, of like the spirit moving through the artistry, right? So not every spirit is a good one, right? Mm-hmm. So could it be, my sister's Christian, I'm not a Christian, I'm like really a collapsed heathen. But like she
Pause. So I'm a
you over here.
Come and get
collapsed even come sit.
The good reverend said, bless you.
Well, welcome.
My sister said this something in the Bible.
Gotta put some in the offering plate first.
Demons that come to the earth and like they take human form and they have influence and this, that, and the way. And I had only asked her because like I do environmental justice activism right now, and so like it's really frustrating to me when people can like see science and facts on how like we're literally destroying the planet and like how there will be a hard stop on when shit will stop working, literally. And I'm always like, these people who are in positions of power, like they breathe the same air, maybe better quality than me, but like they literally breathe the same air on this planet. Like, why don't they care? And then there's like musicians, and you're like, oh my god, like how does a person go to the dark side, or like da 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 da? Like, is that a part of the aspect? Like, are we living in a space, Kali Yuga or whatever, where it's like it is the time to only kind of celebrate and venerate the negative, and so that the struggle and the between the light and the dark, or whatever you want to say, is kind of rooted. Like that's what it is. Like this is just the negative time in the history of humanity right now. Like, is that why it's...
I think throughout history, there's always going to be the negative and the positive coexisting together. And that's just what it is.
Yeah, you can't have one without the other.
Yep.
Right.
That's the way that it's always been.
And I even said that, and what is it? One might keep saying that eternal souls clash and war gets deep, some beef is everlasting. But it made me think of that, like you were saying, both of y'all, but just like, and sometimes when things happen, it just reminds me of like, okay, this is like everlasting.
Yeah,
this is
not.
That's like Odu.
Ancient Kemet, shit wasn't sweet all the time.
It was mad slaves, like.
It
No,
was
every
different.
like
It was war.
you think about that time, but it's like all that stuff existed.
Yeah.
And even people that, but then I think the deep part, it kind of goes back to you talking about what Odu, because it's like the deep part is when it ain't the slaves fight, when it's king versus king, or when it's brother versus brother. Like when you start to get to that, then you really see what vice is, because it's not always about like extreme oppression. And even with our ancestors getting, for us to get to this point where we are, and even now we see again when you just the idea that like I'm trying to escape and someone is watching and goes back and says, I saw her trying to escape. What? Yeah. Like, I'm not trying to stop you from being enslaved. I'm not trying to. No, I just want to go be free, and you don't want that to happen? Yeah. That's fucking crazy. Like, when a person is in that mindset, what do you do with that? You know what I mean? Logically. So then you realize it's not necessarily just about...
Shit,
exactly. Well, partly that too, but I'm just saying, just the idea of even in the time of peace, when there is abundance and there's still clash. Because that's what it goes back to, the idea of souls clashing. Souls clashing isn't always about scarcity. Sometimes it's just clash. Period. You know what I mean?
About that, like I felt like he was one of the first people to really paint a
good
good picture of what it was like as the downfall into slavery. Like, in other words, we were weak enough at a time of that encounter,
right?
And he paints that picture well. Those people who we talking about earlier, Odyssey, sort of these people, you know, Nipsey Hussle, you know what I'm saying, Eritrea. Like, you know, I feel like part of...
He's Eritrea?
Yeah.
Part of...
Nipsey?
I thought you
I didn't know that. No.
His real name is like Arongus or something like.
So he looks like it. That makes so much sense. Oh my god.
But
go ahead,
like,
sing it.
Talking about like
East
how
Africa singing.
from that
Seriously.
immigration, like of
The
refugees. Let's talk about Lauryn Hill, refugee camp, and that mentality, like seeing ourselves accepting the fact that we refugees kind of
Right.
So there is no free space in America. America's a place of refugee camps, maroon camps at best. So like that international mentality is what I'm asking about and kind of curious about, and like even with you, like tuned into that, because that to me is where I see us being able to bring the spirit of public in a way where we still can control it.
I mean, that's
we
the
step
thing.
outside, or we somehow get that mentality. Like Odyssey, you know, Sudanese, he got that mentality. He doesn't. He's not looking for an American dream.
Right.
America is the land of milk and honey, where you come and you hustle,
get your milk and honey,
to get in the system and play the market or whatever. It's the casino. You come here, you play.
Yeah.
But it's like black. That's what I'm asking about black soul and like internet like that. Is there going to be a new wave of internationalization of black music, like there was in the, you know, because that's what it seemed like took us. Sam Cooke, even, you know what I mean, James Brown, like in Africa, like it seems when that's when it becomes like not a white commodity, but like a black offering, like to the black world. And that's what usually lets us get off the plantation. It seems like.
I think
like without that immigrant or migrant mentality, where it's like, you know, this is a place of transience. You know what I mean? And like you're never going to be powerful here unless you tap into a source. You know what I mean? Like allied source. You know what I'm saying?
I was going to say, I think to do that, you can't focus on being big in the States first, you know? I think you got to focus on international from the beginning.
And even,
I don't think you can say, okay, you know, I want to get big in the States, then I'll go, you know, overseas. I think you got to focus on, you know,
being bigger.
International, you know, from the gate.
But how tuned into the market, I guess, the cultural market scene in Brazil. You know what I mean? Like, making music there and leaving versus making music there and like playing roots.
Well, I mean, that's the thing that's interesting. Like when I went to Brazil, I actually did a show while I was down there too, and there's just what I've personally gathered from that experience is like there is just something about. I mean, because I like to feel like the music I make is, like I said, rooted in like this rich history of like just black creativity in general, you know. But it was just interesting to go down there and to see how visceral that is in a way. Like people are just drawn to that naturally. Like I am not Brazilian. I don't speak Portuguese. The show was sold out. People never heard of me, but it was like I felt like it was just this. Who's this black man in Brazil? Performing, you know, like I have to see it, you know, and that's like a very real feeling that I feel like a lot of people have with regards to black culture or something like that. So like I don't know. I mean, the thing that I took away from that experience is like you honestly, like one, the music is rooted in this history, which I feel is, I mean, while it is international, it's a black experience, you know. And I think the thing that is going to change, like when we were talking about how this is a very patriarchal, capitalist, whatever, I think that is going to be the thing that helps to drive this change, is like forming a tribe around your music. I mean, if you look at like Soulquarian movement back in the day where D'Angelo came out, that was albeit it was very commercial because everyone was like with the label and whatever, but like they were a tribe. They had a certain mentality of collectiveness. And I feel like now in this day and age, there is potential to garner, like if you can garner a collective, like get your collective together, and the intent is strong enough, and you have, you know exactly what you're trying to get across, that you can start to like push that pendulum in a different direction. But it's still a challenge. I mean, because the one thing is that things are, I feel like even on a global level now, things are always, or maybe have always been, but it's just very revolved around money and capital. And it's like if you can somehow form your tribe and have the means to at least get the music out to these places or get the music done. I mean, things are expensive, you know, and you have the right force behind that, then it's like, I feel like that's going to become influential. And I feel like things are lining up for that. I mean, like, just the fact that this D'Angelo album came out and it's so acclaimed critically, like written up in the New York Times the day after it came out. Pitchfork doesn't cover soul music; they cover D'Angelo. You know, news people from all over the place. BuzzFeed did a freaking, you know, it's like there is definitely this buzz about that type of expression, but I think now it's rooting that in a like a group of people that is looking to push that forward. You know, and I feel like taking that in consideration with just the natural curiosity people have when people of color do anything creatively, it's very powerful. You know, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just, I feel like it's also become more difficult to find people that understand that are creators. You know, because a lot of people, like you said, are like, yo, I gotta get this money.
Yeah,
I'm not, you know, I'm da-da-da-da, and it's like, they kind of sidestep that. They don't even think about that as a way.
And this is so deep because it is going to come back to like even the idea, like we talked about the whole international thing, and it's funny because the more you kept asking those questions, I kept thinking like, you know, it is going to come down. I think for us as Black Americans, you know, and even for some of us in the room, you know, who have had this experience, but just particularly dealing with the African spirituality, because that is a very direct, clear link to something that we need. Right, being Black American people here, having been enslaved, which is different from, you know, even being colonized. Even though there's still a level of enslavement and captivity, it's still different. So for us being over here captive, sort of away from home, and being able to tap into something that has the elements, it has music, it has, you know, group, you know, collective experience, it has all of the elements of culture, and it's something that we need. You know what I'm saying? It isn't even just like an abstract, like, okay, take a language lesson and learn a random language. It's like, learn a lesson so you can have the tools to do something for yourself right now. And you can get, like, answers now about you
right
now.
Right.
And then your family, and then your community. And it's like, what? It's like literally like that. So I feel like that, and then we do see a lot of artists and folks that, you know, we kind of look at from the side, like, how are they able to such and such? And then you start to see what they're into, what they're getting down with, who's in their circle, and you realize like, this is a little deeper than just like, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be sort of like blind stepping, like, I don't know where I'm going. Like, there is a way to divine and understand and have clarity and have answers. And these are sciences that are, or knowledge bases that our ancestors were very clear about. You know what I mean? And so I think for our generation to be able to kind of really just embrace it fully and just say like, okay, I'm going to trust that like there's more to what, you know, to the world than what I know. You know what I'm saying? There's more to it, and there's something I can tap into ancestrally. There's something I can tap into spiritually that can guide me, that's cultural, that's grounded in, you know what I mean, my beingness, that is real and that works. Because the other thing is that, you know, aside from just praying and, you know, we can do that all day, but like, do it work? Did the prayer get answered? And if you can see an answer and you know, like, damn, this shit worked, then, you know what I mean? And then it also offers room for the exchange to happen seamlessly. So again, that linguistic exchange, that musical exchange, all those things happen seamlessly without even thinking about it. It just does happen. So I feel like for us as the kind of like, you know, lost tribe, so to speak, that is a portal that is clearly defined and that works, and that I think will feed people on all levels.
I was listening to Jabari's album actually.
Jabari, excellent.
Yeah, like I wish I could play that for y'all because that's cold.
Yo,
like that shit is straight.
He's got a lot of knowledge.
Just straight drumming.
Jabari, this next,
but it's like it don't sound like drumming. It sound like new music. You know what I'm saying?
And it's really old music. He's like really studied African, you know, West African music.
Right. But he's playing with it like it's a MPC or something. You know what I'm saying? Like
the next genre is going to be rooted in the djembe and the bass. I'm telling you, and that's going to be the bass guitar,
like Thundercat.
Oh,
like,
Thundercat.
And I've been thinking on this, right? Just in terms, because like hip hop has had it. Hip hop is extinct in the sense that jazz is extinct. Jazz is living on, but it's still not that expression from us coming from here, right? Yeah. So it's like you got a djembe, you got a reggae bass, you have gospel keys, jazz horns, and I feel like the two instruments that I'm missing. But that's kind of like sonically, I think that's where, when we talk about the international movement in the field, I think sonically those pieces, a band formed with those pieces,
Right.
with a lead MC and a singer, smash.
Yeah.
Smash out.
Yeah.
Like the live instruments, you're saying. We have to have instruments.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
It's gotta get to the instrument. Gotta get back to the instrument.
You said reggae bass.
Yeah, reggae bass, gospel keys,
I see what
djembe,
you're saying.
jazz horns.
Watch Erica's album have all of that. Like, she's like,
But I don't know. I think we would love that, but the mainstream, I don't know.
I honestly
always coming to the fold.
Yeah.
Mainstream
Yeah.
always coming to the
they
fold.
late.
But I feel like all of those, like it's like the things you named are very distinctive, but also like they make up like soul, or they make up these music. They're rooted in each other, you know. Like gospel is a foundation for a lot of those things. Anyway, like,
but it's almost like there are pieces that exist in all types of genres. It's like we have to all come together to be like, yo, we're gonna work this all out in one sphere, one space. Like, we're not gonna water you down. We're not gonna water you down. We're gonna find a way so that all these elements hit this one motherfucking groove right here. When that groove, I'm telling you, I can hear it.
Yeah.
I can feel licking instruments, yo. I know all of the music, yo.
So you
I know
basically
him.
saying when the funk hits the fan.
It's gonna be
When
jam.
the funk.
Okay.
when the funk hit the fan and
What was I think it was the guitar.
funk guitar,
No.
rhythm guitar. Yeah.
I mean, what you think about that?
Crazy.
I mean, like actual Thundercats.
You know, his brother is the drummer.
His brother is. They're both on some other like crazy vibe. But like, yeah, he's.
He's
he's a bass. I mean, he makes the bass sound like I've never heard it sound that way before. You know, it's like it's dope. He's dope. I mean, they're all like that whole camp is dope too. Brain Feeder, him, Flying Lotus, and the stuff that he incorporates in his production is like
that's
definitely like
Yes.
pushing things in a certain way, you know. But
he never keeps his.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like the thing with Thundercat though is a lot of people.
It's like trying to
He can get lost. Like he can go over a lot of people's heads right now. You know, in terms of like, it's so crazy that you're just like, what the. Like a lot of people kind of like, what the hell's happening? Like, you know. I mean, I feel like it's dope, but I feel like
okay.
I don't know. I feel like we're at an age now where it's like certain things are like progressing, but also like going over the people they should touch in a way.
Some of that has to happen sonically so that people
Yeah.
can catch up.
Right, I agree.
It's like, okay, I mean, it's almost like, cause like we always talk about all these black genres. We never mentioned bebop.
Yeah.
It's like bebop kind of came and went, but it was still but it was like. Fucking bebop.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Flying Lotus is kind of like that. That's that bebop. You know what I'm saying? It's like niggas we don't know to call it. We ain't everybody.
I think bebop even like, you know, if you listen to commercials from the 1950s, like they had bebop, and it was something that kind of came and went as like a genre, so to say, but it influenced a lot. Like its influence was, and people don't really talk about that.
When you
Like
look
how
at
much
the
it
when you look at
influenced.
the black men that lived through the bebop era, they all had this small that bop. That bop is just inherent in all of them. I was John Carlos. Where I heard him speak, and I this is before I'm standing behind him. I'm watching him walk. I could see he just had that.
Yes.
Like boom, like I am somebody. You know what I'm saying? It's like a certain aspect of that music. Just
Tell us something with the second line.
Yes. I am somebody, Bob.
I threw a party in Cuba when I turned 25, and literally I paid them in beer, There was a spoon hitting the wall.
Killing it,
One cajon, and they played the whole fucking night. The whole, like, they didn't stop. Like, hard body. I had people inside, around, wrapped around the block just to come to this party. A spoon, and I just fed them in beer, and they played.
Word.
No stop, sweating, like, no clothes, like.
That's what it's about, yo. That's it.
That's some real shit, and that ain't on YouTube.
That we know of.
That's too right.
I know that one brother.
One motherfucker.
One thing in Cuba, it's like, oh shit.
Right? No, but you know what happened to me? I did a ceremony in Cuba, and there was an anthropologist there from Cali. An African American dude who didn't know that I was American. He thought I was Cuban, so he was like documenting my whole shit. He was like, I ain't un Americano, but I didn't really understand what's going on because I'm like still going through my shit. It was my drum presentation. So he's thinking he's documenting some like real authentic Cuban, like whatever. Go and find out that I had to tell him like, yo, I'm American.
What did he say?
X-nay on the, I don't remember what he said. I was like halfway there, halfway not, but.
Word.
It was just interesting. People be trying to record your shit, and little did I know.
Yeah. People, it's crazy out here.
Extra special shit right here.
Well done. Yeah, so we thank all of y'all for just coming through and building. I know we've been making music, sharing about music, discussing music, and our journeys. Because, like we've all said, it's about the music. It's about that process, but it's about being really, and you all choose. Part of your choices in being is expressing yourself through song and through rhythm and through creating. So it's a beautiful thing. And we thank y'all so very much for joining us for Live from Planet
Man,
Earth.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's creating this space. Like,
this
for this to happen.
Yeah, this was good for me. Alhamdulillah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Did you have something?
Hot chocolate.
You ain't got no benediction?
You ain't got nothing? Nothing?
Okay.
Yeah.
Y'all can make some music. No?
Some hot chocolate.
That too.
Please.
Yes.
Please.
Yes. Excellent. Thank y'all.
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.
For real. You guys are beautiful. You guys are like, whoo, y'all preach the word. I don't know how. Y'all just open it.
I need to pass out some church.
I'm telling you.